Hello, Dr. Martin. So today I'm going to be presenting on a few different topics, including the importance of building relationships with adult students and your staff, how to build a plan for creating trusting relationships between adult students and instructional coaches, the benefits of providing effective feedback to adult students or your staff, and finally, a few strategies for communicating effective feedback for adult students, as well as those benefits. I want to first begin talking about the benefits of building these relationships. One of the most important things of building the relationship is that it starts to gain the cooperation of the participants when trust is established. Also, it promotes participation and it kind of helps to build that morale with your staff. And so you're creating a happy and healthy working environment. And then it encourages staff to do their best, not just with their planning, but also in the classroom, with parent communication, with their own personal feedback. I feel like when when relationships are established, they're more open to working effectively and efficiently, especially with our younger students. In addition to covering some of the benefits of building this relationship, yes, we know they're extremely important, but how do we do that? So we can build relationships with our adult students. And again, when I'm talking about adult students, I'm referring to like staff or teachers, anyone who's really working under that instructional coach. The first way this can be done is to leave a place to ask questions for your staff. This can be done either formally or informally in order to create stronger communication and more effective feedback. This is also another great way to avoid miscommunication among the staff, which we all know can happen very, very easily. In addition to creating a safe place to ask questions, the instructional coach can create business partnerships and connections outside of the school. This can ensure that our school receives additional funding for both students and staff. And when we're seeing that you're making efforts, or when the instructional coach is making efforts to help teachers out, it's not just helping to create those relationships and feedback, but it's also trying to help the teachers financially, which again, we know we can put in a lot of money into our classroom, into our school. And so again, when we're reaching out to outside resources, it definitely helps having additional funding. And so I think that just creates a stronger bond with your staff because it shows that you're caring about them, not just their emotional or mental health, but also like making sure that they're financially stable as well. Another way to build trusting relationships with adult students is to split up the classroom visits into different categories. This shows that you're focused on improving specific areas and have carefully thought out a plan to help better staff. Other ways to build relationships might include listening reflectively and providing feedback, which I'm going to be getting into in just a little bit. Can send out goal-related questions and make sure to answer these questions at your next professional development, in your observation, whenever you're meeting with the staff. And finally, try to create themes for faculty meeting discussions. This will help keep meetings focused and will focus on the issues and concerns of the staff. Again, when the information is relevant, staff will believe that you truly care about what matters to them. A few last ways to build the relationships with adults is you can emphasize effective lessons that were observed. So this will again help to build that morale among the staff, make them feel that the little or big things that they're doing in their classroom are effective and are going, noticed. They can also talk with a trusted staff or colleague member. So when you're pairing up your staff, make sure to have them have encouraging positive talks and relationships with you and one another. And lastly, a third or last final way to build those trusting relationships with adult students is to have or hold meetings into different classrooms. So that'll make them feel like their classroom is being recognized, that the hard work that they put into their elementary school classrooms is actually going noticed as well. So the next thing I'm going to be discussing is how to communicate effectively with adult students. So as we know, feedback is essential to making progress in our own learning. And in order for adults to be receptive, the feedback must be goal referenced. This means that the teacher has set a goal and then receives relevant feedback about the goal. The feedback should also be tangible and transparent, meaning that anyone who has a goal set can learn from their goals. Coaches can do this by possibly recording observations and then meeting with the staffs, talking about their strengths and things that can be improved in their own classroom. Additionally, the feedback should be actionable. So coaches should provide feedback such as maybe, for example, 10 out of your 29 kids were unengaged in the lesson. This will help rather than just saying, oh, some of the kids weren't paying attention. It should be useful for the teacher, not necessarily judgmental of their teaching or their teaching styles. Also, the feedback should be user-friendly so it can be easily interpreted by the staff. It should also come in a timely manner to make it most effective. So we don't want to wait till it's convenient for us, but again, because we're there to support the staff, the instructional coaches are there to support the staff, we want to make sure that the feedback is timely, that it's ongoing throughout the year, and that it's consistent with what they're doing in their classrooms. I just discussed some of the effective feedback strategies that can be implemented in a school, but I think the biggest thing we want to talk about is why is this important? So some of the benefits of providing effective feedback include that it provides clarity of what's expected of the behaviors. When feedback's given, there are reasons why, so it's not just useless. When the information's clear, it's more likely to be implemented in a new, innovative way. Additionally, feedback also promotes curiosity and success for the staff, and it encourages and shapes new behaviors to ensure the success of the students. Lastly, effective feedback creates reinforced behaviors to make sure that the staff's on track and that, again, they're feeling like they are supported. So now that we've discussed why and how feedback is important, I want to talk about how we can actually meet with our staff to provide this feedback. One of the ways we can do this is to implement surveys and questionnaires. These surveys should be kept short, to the point, relevant, to gather the information that you needed. You don't want them to have to fill out a ton of information. We can also we can also provide this feedback by modeling lessons and then leaving. We don't necessarily need to stay and linger in the classroom. I feel like that can turn into almost a little bit of a judgment. So while observing, it's important to try to find positive, specific examples and to build that morale or boost morale of the staff. Also, you can try to work in a collaborative environment among the staff. This will help keep everyone on the same page. And lastly, make sure that you're prepared as an instructional coach with materials when demonstrating a lesson. So don't just come in with like a clipboard. Make sure that you have everything you need if you're going to either demonstrate a lesson or just if you're going to be observing. In addition, it would be great if all of our staff was open and receptive to feedback and change. However, we know this is definitely not always the case. There's always going to be some of those staff are going to be a little bit resilient to change. So what can we do to try to get them on board? First of all, we can try to find opportunities to be helpful. At times, they might feel a little bit overwhelmed with what's going on in the classroom or just in general in life. So I think it's important to try to take baby steps, not try to put 100 million things on our staff all at once. We can also try to be focused on the program rather than the skill of the teacher. So what are they teaching rather than being, like I said, judgmental or critical of what they're doing. In addition, we can be persistent and consistent. So you're going to have that staff at some point who does not necessarily want to implement anything new, especially our veteran staff who've been doing this a really long time. They have their routine set. It might be kind of hard to get them to change or try anything new in their classrooms. Just continue to stick with it, show your support, build those strong relationships and partnerships with them. Again, so we know how busy the teacher's day is, every single day. We at times can be a little bit overwhelmed. Again, just be mindful of the teacher's time. So when you're trying to implement anything, just be aware that, whatever you're trying to get them to do is not the only thing they have on their plate. So just be aware of the teacher's time. And then also try to focus on thinking about uncovering hidden talents, great lessons of different teachers, various strategies you're using, and then celebrate those victories. So everyone likes to be recognized. Build these teachers up. Even if it's just small little things, whenever we're receiving compliments, that helps for happy teachers, which they may be a little bit more receptive and open to what you are trying to do with them. Finally, don't worry about trying to get everything right the first time. It takes time. This is definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. Remember, you are trying to help. You're there to help them. You are there to set that example. Make sure to be just a strong leader, set goals, be focused for your staff. Definitely use effective and essential strategies and resources when planning or providing examples for them. Be prepared. You're going to be effective just by creating these relationships you build up with your staff. So in conclusion, it is essential to create a happy and healthy relationship with your staff. When they feel that you are supporting them, they're going to want to improve internally their own teaching practices. It's going to help just create a better environment overall for your school, for administration, for staff, for the aides, for pretty much everybody involved. And by providing this effective feedback, you're going to be setting them up for success. Even when you feel like you're overwhelmed, just stick with it. You will get through to them. Anyways, these are my list of references. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation on building relationships. Have a good one.